Next, we have the great privilege of having Josh join us today. He's currently a student at Carleton University where he's completing a bachelor's, correct? Bachelor of Arts in Global Politics. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to begin by asking you a few questions pertaining to this conference. Specifically, what have you learned as a result of attending this conference?
I think particularly so far, the interplay between NATO and the UN, where NATO's role comes in, where the UN's more suited, where they may overlap and where they don't. It was actually particularly interesting just discussion between the panelists because there was definitely some disagreement when it came to the United Nations body, which is certainly, international institutions are one of the sides of global politics I'm most interested in, particularly more on the legal end of things, but still just recognizing that there are things that the UN does that maybe not so well, that NATO does better, but at the same time, NATO is not suited for everything the United Nations also handles.
And I think that's a very crucial point that you just made there in terms of comparing the United Nations to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. You need to look at various similarities and differences to both organizations. The United Nations certainly has made an impact and a difference in the work that they currently do. However, they can't do it all. At the same point, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization has various areas that the organization focuses on, and just like any organization, any association, there are certain areas where you will have an expertise in. You can't be good at everything, but at the same time, NATO has significantly made a difference in terms of protecting and securing the well-being of Canadians along with the world. We're all over. We're in Europe, we're in the United States of America, and I think that NATO is very powerful in terms of protecting the people while also having a strong military base, ready to secure our safety and our well-being. Is there anything you're looking forward to towards the end of this conference? Did you have any goals going into this conference in the beginning?
Well, I mean, I'm particularly interested in the self-representatives from Canadian forces, both retired and I think they're still currently serving general assembly. Additionally, as a Carleton student, I'm very excited to see one of the chairs of Norm Patterson here.
Yes.
Just because it's always interesting to hear them speak, and it's also a bit of pride. It's like, yeah, I go to that school. And I'm in the
He
master's
represents
program,
you, right?
Yeah,
Carleton
still
University.
Still Carleton.
It's a great school, by the way.
Thank you. We try.
I wanted to ask you about any advice you might have to the students interested in pursuing a career in international relations and affairs. As a student at Carleton University, you certainly have a lot of connections and a lot of accessibility to these conferences and events. What would you say is the most crucial message and the most important point for today's youth to understand when they want to succeed or perhaps pursue a career in this field?
Well, I think it goes for any field. The programs, academically speaking, might be equal between the schools, but there is certain geographic advantages. Particularly speaking for Carleton and also UO, I guess, on the side. We're in Ottawa, so as you were saying, we have advantage to all these conferences. Making those connections and the networking with people who are in the field, and you get to know a lot better, a lot more intimately, and you have the chance to have experience before you enter the workplace or further your education in it. So, if possible, I definitely recommend going to school at one of the Ottawa schools. If not, actively pursue conferences like these and any chance you get to be deeply involved in the field before you enter the professional life.
And I think that's extremely valuable advice. All of you listening should be attending conferences. You should be going to events. You should be asking questions. I think that not only is attending a conference a good opportunity for you to network and to meet a lot of people, but at the same time, you will learn something new as a result of attending. Are there any final words you'd like to leave the people watching today?
Well, I mean, other than what you just said,
Yes.
go to conferences. Do that. Participate. Ask questions. Get to know the field. Get to know the people in it. Know what you're studying about. Be passionate about it. Ultimately, if you care, you're going to be interested in it. And don't study it if you don't care, because
Then you'll be miserable.
you'll be miserable. And frankly, like, particularly in a field, in my opinion, like global politics, international relations, and the panelists are bringing it up, you need people who are both talented and passionate in it to solve a lot of the problems you have on the world stage. And again, you'll be miserable yourself, but don't put yourself in that position where you're maybe not doing as well as you could. You don't care. So be passionate about it. Go to conferences. Get those connections. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.